In one of my previous videos, I had talked about misconceptions, like with spinal injuries, brain injuries, all those sorts of things. Today, what I wanted to speak to you about is the misconception that a lot of people have with the spinal injury and certain aspects of the spinal cord injury. A lot of people think that when there is a spinal cord injury, there is no movement from one part of the body down. Not true. Not sometimes, yes, sometimes that is the case, but other times, no. In my case, completely wrong. And the main question that I get asked a lot is, can you or how do you have sex? It is still possible and I can still feel down there. There is a lot of people, it depends if the spinal cord injury is complete compared to incomplete. In my case, I have an incomplete spinal cord injury. The incomplete injury means that from my spinal cord injury down, which is the C4 to 5 vertebrae, which is just about my shoulder blades, so from there down, there is sensation. I have slightly limited sensation in certain parts, like say this thumb compared to this thumb, and I have bad circulation problems in my feet. So with the spinal cord injury, that tends to be the case with the lack of circulation going from the spinal cord injury down to the rest of the body. So my feet, so this is part of my spinal injury, but also part of the brain injury. My feet are always cold. That's the circulation problem. But the thing is, sometimes when my feet are exceptionally cold, or even if they are a certain sort of cold, they might feel hot. Or if they're actually really hot, to me, they might feel cold. So it's, I never really know. The only way of me knowing is by putting my hand on my foot. Going back to the first topic, because that tends to be the main question that I get asked. And if anybody has a question that you would want to ask a person in a wheelchair but feel that it would be rude of you to ask them, I am more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. So feel free to put in the comments below and I'll get back to you and I will answer any questions that you might have. So back to the sex part of it, it still feels the same. I don't really want to get into too much details, but yes, it is possible and yes, I can. If my injury was complete, it would mean I would have no sensation in my legs whatsoever. But when I was at rehab, I knew people that were a complete injury, but they had partial sensation in their legs, but absolutely no movement. There was another guy that I knew who had no sensation in his legs from the spinal cord injury down, but he could walk because the nerves in his spinal cord were severed, not the actual spinal cord. And with me, my spinal cord was damaged pretty bad, but I was one of those very lucky cases, the ones that it doesn't happen that often, but I was very lucky and I'm very thankful for that. It does annoy me a lot when it's like my feet are freezing and there's nothing that I can do about it. That drives me mental. I can move my legs and I can feel my legs. Just I think I went from when the doctor went back and did the Asia test. If you want to look that up, I'll put a link in the description below so you know what the Asia test is. It is a little pinprick pressure test to see how much sensation you have from your injury down, and from the pressure from your face to down, all the way down to your legs and your feet and everything. The first time I got the Asia test, was in 2008. That I had my injury New Year's Eve 2007, so it was about 8 months after the injury that I got the Asia test. I was a C3 on that Asia test, but then I got the same test done a few months ago and I am a C4. Because of the main misconception that people have about a spinal injury means that there is no movement down. That I admit, yes, before I had my accident, I would have thought that. I didn't even know what the difference was between a paraplegic and a quadriplegic. And now I know a little bit more about it, but it's taken me sort of 6.5 years to get to that point and really understand and get it. It's quite difficult for me to explain it to somebody else. They say, oh, well, you can move your legs. Why can't you just get up? Or if you have this movement, if you have these muscles that work, can't you just work on them, get stronger and just start walking? It's not always the case, and at one point after my injury and when I was in rehab and after, I thought that that was the case, that I could just strengthen and then just get up and start walking. I still have that goal in my head, but that goal is not my #1 priority at the moment. Right now, it's just going to the gym and getting fit, getting exercise and trying to get the muscles moving and get everything working, because if I wasn't doing that, I would start to get stiff and sore and fat, and I'm sort of already at that point. It's very difficult to lose weight when you don't have the legs to walk around and do the exercises. I do as much as I can. It's still a little bit tricky, but I'm getting there bit by bit. So I'm not an expert, so don't count me as being a doctor or being somebody who knows everything about it, but I'll give it my best go to answer any of your questions, and I'll see you next time. Ciao.